Welcome to today's 5-minute Bible study. We're in the Acts of the Apostles. We're in the middle part of Acts chapter 16. We're in the midst of Paul's second missionary journey. He is now in the Macedonian city of Philippi. We saw in our last session that he had started his ministry there at the place of prayer, and he had a notable conversion, Lydia. She is connected to the Jewish place of prayer. She is probably either a Gentile God-fearer or a convert, but she immediately believes in Jesus. She and her household become followers. She opens her house to Paul and his companions. It becomes their base of operations for the ministry in Philippi. Now, we don't know how long they're there, probably a good little while, because we know at the end of the chapter, it will tell us there are brothers and sisters in the church. In other words, a multitude. So the church is growing and is progressing. But Luke wants to tell us a wonderful account of a ministry of deliverance that Paul has one day with a slave girl. I'm going to begin reading at verse 16 of chapter 16. Now once, when we were going to the place of prayer, that's down by the river, you remember, the place of prayer at the river. We were going to the place of prayer. We were met by a female slave who had a spirit by which she predicted the future. Now in the original language of Acts, Luke says she had what was called a python spirit. It's kind of unusual for us, but it's connected with the culture of the time. The python spirit was a spirit thought to be connected with the Greek god Apollo. He was most famous for the oracle at Delphi, which is in the middle part of Greece, and in that village of Delphi there was a priestess who had this, what was called a python spirit. She spoke in strange utterances, and it was felt to be the voice of the god Apollo, and that she would give prophecies or predictions or divination about the future. Well, this slave girl, it was felt, had the same kind of spirit, and so her owners made use of her, and she would give these strange utterances under the influence of this spirit, this evil spirit as we know, and her prophets would sell that to people as fortune telling. Well, anyway, they passed by this slave girl who had a spirit by which she predicted the future. She earned a great deal of money for her owners by her fortune telling. She followed Paul and the rest of us, shouting out, "These men are servants of the Most High God, and they are telling you the way to be saved." Now, why is she shouting this out? It seems that the evil spirit within her recognized that Paul and his companions were servants of the true God, the Most High God. Now, this is a classical description of the God who is above all gods. You remember in the polytheistic age in which Paul lived, in the Greek religions of that day, they believed in many gods. But they recognized the God of Paul, at least this slave girl does, as the Most High God, the God who is above all gods, the one who is the true God. These are servants of the Most High God. They are telling you the way to be saved. She kept this up for many days. Paul became so annoyed that he turned around and said to the spirit, "In the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to come out of her." And at that moment, the spirit left her. You first might wonder, why was Paul annoyed? What she's saying is true. They are servants of the Most High God, and they are telling the way to be saved. But what annoys Paul is that this message is coming from a wrongful source, an evil spirit, and it's not something he's going to tolerate. And finally, he speaks a word of command in the name of Jesus for this evil spirit to let her go and to leave her. We're so often in the ministry of Jesus how we free people from the possession of evil. You remember that story of Legion, who was possessed by many demons, and Jesus freed him. And the disciples of Jesus continue that authority. So Jesus, the name of Jesus in the mouth of Paul sets this woman free. At that moment, it says the spirit left her. It is a great moment of deliverance as this slave girl is set free from this horrible, horrible predicament of being controlled by this, as Luke describes it, a python spirit. But now remember, she's a slave girl. And so it says when her owners realized that their hope of making money was gone, they're angered at the economic loss to them. They don't care about the girl. They're just angered now that she can't be used anymore to make money. So they seized Paul and Silas. They dragged them into the marketplace to face the magistrates. They are brought before the magistrates, and they say, "These men are Jews, and they are throwing our city into an uproar. They are advocating customs unlawful for us Romans to accept or to practice. You see what the accusation is? These men are Jews. There's a little anti-Semitism there. These men are Jews. And they are advocating customs unlawful for us Romans to follow. Now remember I told you that Philippi was a Roman colony. And so the charge is they are promoting anti-Roman practices, something that hurts our city. And so they lodged these complaints against Paul and against Silas. Now it's interesting, it's just Paul and Silas they arrest. They don't arrest Luke and they don't arrest Timothy. We're not sure why. Probably Paul and Silas are more immediately Jewish by look, and they recognize them as Jewish, and that's part of the anti-Semitic attack. But anyway, those are the only two arrested. It says the crowd joins in the attack against Paul and Silas. The magistrates order them to be beaten. And after they're flogged, they're thrown into prison, and the jailers commanded to keep them carefully. So the magistrate accepts the accusation, administers rapid punishment, and throws them in prison for the night. Now this is going to lead to another notable conversion, but we'll look at that next time. But so far we've seen that Paul is in the city of Philippi. Many believers are coming to the Lord. The church is growing, and miracles are happening. This girl is set free from an evil spirit. But also persecution is beginning. Paul and Silas find themselves in jail. But that itself is going to be the scene of another great miracle of Jesus, another great conversion. And we'll see that next time. You have a good day today, and I'll see you for our next 5-minute Bible study in the Acts of the Apostles.